Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Before we start the story, I request you all to comment below, where are you watching from? So let's continue today's story. The call that shattered the stillness of a rainy October morning came not from a panicked parent, but from a dispassionate school administrator. Alara Vance, 16 years old, had missed her curfew at Blackwater Academy, the exclusive cliff-top boarding school on the remote and moody Blackwater Isle. Her bed had not been slept in. Her phone, wallet, and a single worn leather journal were left on her desk. Alara, a scholarship student with a preternatural talent for silence and observation, was simply gone. The island, accessible only by a single ferry, closed in on itself. The local constable, a man named Peters who was more accustomed to dealing with drunken tourists than missing children, initiated a perfunctory search. The prevailing theory was a tragic accident, a walk along the storm, lashed cliffs gone wrong. The sea around Blackwater Isle never gives up its dead. But Alara's older sister, Kaya, knew better. Kaya, an investigative journalist based in London, felt her sister's disappearance like a physical blow. A cold certainty that this was no accident. Alara wasn't a reckless girl. She was a ghost, a collector of secrets. The journal left behind was a cryptic map of her mind, filled not with teenage angst, but with intricate sketches of the island's flora and fauna, architectural details of the old Vance family manor, and unsettling, fragmented phrases. The stones have voices. The fifth knot in the willow tree. He wears the wrong face. Kaya arrived on the island, a whirlwind of sharp questions and city-smart suspicion, clashing immediately with the island's entrenched powers. The stoic headmaster Croft, the wealthy and reclusive Blackwood family who owned most of the land, and her own estranged father, Julian Vance. Julian, a celebrated historical writer, lived as a near hermit in the decaying Vance Manor, Blackwater House, a Gothic monstrosity that brooded over the island. He greeted Kaya's accusations with weary dismissal. Alara had an overactive imagination, Kaya. She was always getting lost in her own world. But Kaya saw the fear in his eyes, a fear that seemed older and deeper than a missing daughter. Blackwater Isle had a precedent. 25 years earlier, another girl had vanished. Lillian Blackwood, the beautiful, wild daughter of the island's first family. Her disappearance had been ruled a suicide, a conclusion the island had accepted to preserve its peace. The case was a dusty file in Constable Peters' cabinet, a tragic footnote. But Kaya, digging through archives and plying the older islanders with whiskey, found unsettling parallels. Both girls were 16. Both vanished on the night of the autumn equinox. Both were known for being different. And Lillian Blackwood had been Julian Vance's first love. Kaya's investigation became a duel with the island's past. She discovered that her father's magnum opus, The Lords of Blackwater, A History of the Island, was less a work of scholarship and more a carefully constructed alibi, obscuring a bitter land dispute between the Vances and the Blackwoods that had culminated in a fire at a Blackwood mill, a fire that had occurred the night Lillian vanished. Meanwhile, a second narrative began to unfold, hidden within Alara's journal. Using a code based on tidal patterns and Old Norse runes, a code she and Kaya had invented as children, Alara had been conducting her own investigation. She believed Lillian Blackwood had been murdered, and she was getting dangerously close to the truth. Her journal entries became more paranoid. I am being watched. The crow follows me. The truth is buried in the Drowned Woods. The Drowned Woods were a place of local legend, a section of ancient forest slowly being reclaimed by the peat bogs. It was said to be treacherous, haunted by the spirits of the drowned. It was also the site of the old boundary between the Vance and Blackwood estates. Guided by Alara's coded clues, Kaya ventured into the sucking, silent bog. There, half submerged in the murky water, she found a rusted locket. Inside was a faded photograph of Lillian Blackwood and a young Julian Vance. It was the first physical proof that the official story was a lie. But the discovery came at a cost. Kaya was not alone in the woods. A figure, Tall and shrouded in a dark coat, the crow, from Alara's journal, had been tracking her. A chilling chase through the misty, skeletal trees ensued, ending only when Kaya was rescued by an unlikely ally. Ronan Blackwood, Lillian's nephew, a man who carried his own family's shame and a burning desire for the truth. Together, Kaya and Ronan formed a fragile alliance. They pieced together a story of young love, family betrayal, and a terrible accident on the night of the mill fire. Julian Vance and Lillian Blackwood had planned to run away together. They had a secret meeting place, an old boathouse on the Vance property. But something went wrong. Lillian had died, and Julian, with the help of his powerful father, and a complicit Silas Blackwood, Ronan's father, who wanted the scandal buried, had hidden the body, crafting the narrative of her suicide. The pieces were falling into place, but a crucial question remained. Where was Alara? If Julian had killed to protect his secret once, would he do it again? To protect his legacy. Confronting her father in the library of Blackwater House, surrounded by the ghosts of his own writings, Kaya laid out her theory. Julian, aged and broken, confessed to the cover-up of Lillian's death, an accidental fall during a heated argument, but he vehemently denied harming Alara. She knew, he whispered. She found Lillian's diary in the walls. She was going to tell the world, but I would never hurt her. She's my daughter. He revealed a terrifying truth. Alara had been taken. The crow was real. Julian believed it was Silas Blackwood, who, after a lifetime of bitterness, had decided to exact a final, twisted revenge by taking Julian's second daughter, just as he believed Julian had taken his sister. The story exploded in scale. It was no longer about one missing girl, but two, separated by a quarter-century of lies. The final clue came from Alara's journal. He wears the wrong face. It wasn't a metaphor. Alara had discovered that the reclusive groundskeeper of the Blackwood estate, a man named Graves, was not who he appeared to be. He was a fugitive, a man with a violent past that Silas Blackwood had sheltered for decades, using him as a blunt instrument to enforce his will. The autumn equinox storm arrived, mirroring the storm on the night Lillian died. Kaya and Ronan, armed with the full truth, knew where Alara would be. The old boathouse, the scene of the original crime. It was a place of symmetry, of endings. They found Silas Blackwood there, not as a frail old man, but as a malevolent force fueled by a lifetime of hatred. He had Alara, pale but defiant, tied up in the same boathouse where Lillian had died. His plan was not just murder, but poetic justice. To stage a suicide, a repeat of history, destroying Julian Vance completely. But Silas had not accounted for Graves. The groundskeeper, a hulking, simple man, had grown fond of the quiet girl who brought him food and treated him with kindness. When Silas raised a weapon, it was Graves who intervened. A brutal struggle ending with Silas Blackwood falling into the churning, storm-swollen sea, just as his sister had. As the storm raged, Kaya freed Alara. The two sisters embraced. The silence between them finally broken. The police, led by a shamed but now determined Constable Peters, arrived to take Graves into custody. He went quietly, his purpose fulfilled. The aftermath was a tidal wave that reshaped Blackwater Isle. Julian Vance was arrested for perverting the course of justice, and his reputation lay in tatters. The Blackwood name was synonymous with corruption and madness. The bodies of Lillian Blackwood and, days later, Silas Blackwood were recovered by the sea, offering a grim final closure. Kaya wrote the definitive story, a bestseller that exposed the rotten heart of the island's aristocracy. But for her and Alara, the victory was bittersweet. They had uncovered the truth, but it was a truth built on a foundation of bones. They left Blackwater Isle together, the ferry cutting through the gray water. They didn't look back at the receding cliffs or the brooding silhouette of Blackwater House. The island's secrets had been dragged into the light, but its silence remained, a living thing, waiting for the next generation to whisper their secrets to the stones and the sea. The girls were free, but they carried the weight of the past with them, a ghostly companion on the journey home.